We've got lots to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I'll talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, check it out. This video purportedly shows the Chinese shooting down a UFO. Isn't this wild? Look at that. You see this? Yeah, let me minimize my head so you can see that a little bit better. But yeah, look at that. Just insane footage. I wish we had this object in frame for a little longer. We see the missile, but we only see the video, the UFO itself briefly. Really intriguing. Yeah, so it flies in from the left and gets hit by this missile. Just wild footage. I don't have much other information about it. Let's see if there's anything remaining after the explosion. Does it just carry on its way? No, it looks like it actually got hit. I don't see anything coming out of there and continuing on its way. But if I see anything else, I'll let you know. Or if you see it before I do, let me know. It was in this area of the Shandong province of China. Really fascinating stuff. Yeah, what are we to make of this? Well, if it's legit, it seems to suggest that China shoots at UFOs the same way the US does, which to my mind raises the question, are the Chinese shooting at the same UFOs that the US is? The US has a long history of shooting at UFOs. They seem, the control group seems to be working with certain beings and that they have for a long time. And at the same time, they have long shot at UFOs, presumably beings, of a different race or faction or whatever, piloting or operating those UFOs. So is humanity caught in some sort of, proxy war between warring cosmic forces? Is China taking the same side in shooting at the same UFOs that we are? Or alternately, are they shooting at the beings that we're allied with or some other faction altogether? I would love to know. I think those are important questions to get answered if we ever can. Speaking of shooting at UFOs, yeah, this story won't go away. And Chris Lato, I love Chris, but he is taking a hard stance against the Yemen UFO video, making multiple videos suggesting that it is in fact a balloon. Yeah, he says Chinese balloon on the left, Yemen UAP on the right. That's that. Note the shapes of the debris and the four small objects following. It's a shut case, folks. You can stop sending me offensive comments. It only makes you look worse. Yeah, don't send Chris any abusive comments. But he's, because one of the big questions is if this is just a balloon, then what the hell are those objects that are coming out of it and that seem to be following it? Well, Chris is saying, well, hey, look at this. There's objects that came out of the Chinese spy balloon. So I don't know if that's, proof of what he's suggesting. I don't think those were following it as it continued on its trajectory. But it's interesting, and it's certainly a valid point. And we're going to get to that in a moment. But let's hear what Ross Coulthart has to say about the Yemen UFO.
So is it authentic? So the best brains I've spoken to have told me it does appear to be authentic military vision. And maybe the Pentagon doesn't want to comment one way or the other because they just don't want to admit the capabilities of the sensor systems of their MQ-9 Reaper drones. Representative Burleson can't say, because he doesn't know where it came from, the origin of the drone. He says he was dead dropped the video, which means we have no idea of its provenance. Moreover, the metadata has been scrubbed to remove classified sensor data. There is an independent review underway, but as you've said, Megan, the Pentagon and US Central Command have declined to comment, and they've not denied its legitimacy, which is significant. It's also significant that no major media outlets have debunked it yet as fabricated. a lot of people are just tying themselves up in knots, arguing about whether it's a real anomalous object or not. My best answer, when I'm basically flummoxed, I go to Billy Kryak. Billy Kryak's got a great Twitter feed site. And Megan, I've sent you the link for this. I'm sure Billy wouldn't mind if we used a.
Yeah, he admits that he gets the name wrong. He's talking about ProPixels. And ProPixels has made, numerous posts about this as well. And in fact, he replies to Chris Lato saying, Chris, please consider the kinetic energy store here. Watch the YouTube I just put out. We believe, in response to Andreas, are we sure the missile hits the object? What if it goes beneath the object and only the airflow impacts the object? ProPixel says, we believe it does impact it. There was a measured deflection of the missile. That would only happen at the speed if they hit each other. So Ross Coulthart says, when in doubt, he goes with ProPixels. And ProPixels is saying it is genuinely anomalous. Now, Chris Lato is given, much more detailed responses, and he's made entire videos. So, definitely go check that out for his fuller opinion. Other things that he suggests, they're transcribed by Joe Murgia. This is almost certainly 99% certain a polyethylene or similar meteorological balloon being penetrated by a missile that failed to detonate. The object travels at approximately 40 knots, consistent with wind speeds at around 12,000 feet, determinable from the range data in the corner before and after impact. Balloons typically carry payloads, so the additional debris likely represents scattered payload components, either falling freely or remaining tethered by strings. The object is destroyed, so the missile functioned as intended. Track is lost and the object falls. Any apparent speed changes result from parallax effects. Since the missile continues guiding without detonating, we observe deflection. Okay, well, all good thoughts. And, Chris certainly knows more about these things than I do. But I'm struck by Merrick von Rennenkamp's observation that this object appeared to be rotating as soon as the missile lock was on. Merrick says, fun fact, balloons don't generally start rotating immediately after being hit with a drone's ranging targeting laser. And they generally don't stop rotating moments before a missile strikes them. And here we see the object. And I've shown this before. There is there's a rotation that occurs as soon as the lock is on, and then the rotation stops right before the missile strike. So it begins rotating, and then you'll see it stop right before the hit. Right there. So really interesting that it seems to be orienting itself to absorb the missile impact in the best way possible for the object. And then those three weird objects come out of it. Now, about those three weird objects, speaking of ProPixels, he's sharing similar UFO video of
all these smaller orbs were released from the object, which was just fascinating. And I'll add
line. It changed shapes too. So what was that display about? What was going on there? They were just trying to wow you?
I think it's just.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it when these UFOs emit these weird orbs and stuff. That's just so anomalous and so cool and weird. What are they doing? Is that something like what the Yemen UFO was doing? We don't know because we don't have any longer footage available to see what would have happened with those objects and with the primary object. But UAP1 is also sharing a similar video of, a UFO with objects coming out of it. These three objects, much like in the Yemen UFO. Now, the Yemen UFO has objects to come out of it with a distinctive shape. It's unclear what kind of shape those objects are. if those are orbs or if those are more, faceted or shaped in some way. Um, uh, I would love to know. I'm sure you guys would too. Divulgation Scientifica says in 2009, an object with similar characteristics was recorded in Mexico City, releasing spheres from which, after a few minutes, others returned to the object to surround it.
Se capta en video por dos testigos.
Yeah, well, it's got music playing, but yeah, you can see the object and the stuff coming out of it, and you can see the dancing display put on by those objects when they return to it. Apparently, if this is indeed the same object, but yeah, I love that movement. I think that movement is just amazing, where they just appear to be like dancing in the air around their mothership. I love the playful nature of the UFOs as they move through the sky in many of the videos. So yeah, really cool sighting. What's up with these, bigger objects releasing little objects? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you think the Yemen UFO is, as Chris Lato believes, a balloon, or if it's something more anomalous. Clearly, more information would be better. A longer video would be better. If the drone operators that shot it down would come forward with their own stories, that would be amazing. So, obviously, it's early days in the Yemen UFO video yet. Hopefully, it coming forward in Congress will spur some activity, whistleblowers coming forward, stuff like that. And we will indeed get more information, putting to bed once and for all whether it's a balloon or an alien ship. Speaking of Congress, Danny Sheehan is saying that people in Congress are being intimidated by black helicopters.
This threat was frightening the members of the Congress. So it isn't just the whistleblowers, it's the members, it's the senators and the elected Congress people who are afraid of the national security state. I was just reading just this morning detailed discussions by some of the Senate Intelligence Committee staff who were participating in trying to get this bill passed in the Senate, the UFO Disclosure Act, that they have dark black helicopters hovering 20 feet over their homes in the middle of the night that come swooping in and hang out and intimidate them. These are members of the Senate Intelligence Committee staff, and so this threat on the part of the national security state to retaliate, against not only whistleblowers, but members of the Senate staff and senators and Congress people themselves. This is the state of affairs that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, so really alarming if that is true. I would like to see, the staff and members of Congress come forward and, reveal this publicly. As of now, we're only getting this from Danny. And, I love Danny, but he does say some pretty wild stuff sometimes. So it would be nice to have that confirmed from the Congress people in their staff, like perhaps David Grush, who are being affected by this. If this is going on, it certainly wouldn't surprise me. It would be a very bold and over move by the control group, intimidation, but that's not to say it couldn't happen. So I would like to see this confirmed or denied. Honestly, I hope it's not going on, but it very well could be. And if it is, I hope they share that with us. Meanwhile, this lady can control how her pupils contract. What? She's not a reptilian. She just has total control over her eyes. That is nuts. That is nuts, guys. Meanwhile, from Michael Bradbury, this footage from Springfield, Missouri will give you chills. Sean claims he captured an apparition. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. All right, let's prepare to not be able to unsee it.
Camera. This is in the middle of the night. What in the world, if that's a person, they don't appear to be touching the ground and they're partially invisible. Isn't that wild? And notice everything else in the video. The neighbor's front porch. You can see the neighbor's car, the driveway. There's a tree in the video. Everything else looks normal. This thing, whatever it was, an apparition maybe, looks to be semi-transparent. And right here, I slowed it down and I paused it right there whenever this thing first entered the field of view. You can still see the neighbor's front porch post through the, whatever it is, walking on the right side of his house. See how it looks semi-transparent? Doesn't appear to be touching the ground unless it's just some sort of a weird angle, optical illusion. It continues around this tree. But again, notice the post on the front porch of his house, the hand railing, the tree, the neighbor's house, the light pole over there, the neighbor's house across the street, the sidewalk. I mean, everything else looks normal with the exception of that he had never seen before. This happened only one time, and this is in original speed, by the way. It almost looks like this thing, whatever it is, took off running, but it doesn't appear to be running. It just started moving faster for.
Yeah, so is this a kid in a bed sheet? Is this a ghost? What is going on here? Really intriguing footage. Yeah, let me know what the heck you think this thing is. Meanwhile, this was sent to me by Nico, this new drone that's being developed, where you can see how in the future, if not already, it's going to be very hard sometimes to distinguish between UFOs and drones. If you saw that flying around, would you think it was an orb? And if this is something they are about to, unleash upon us in the public sphere, how long have they had stuff like this in the private sphere? Very interesting, very frustrating, but it is what it is. I guess we may have to rely more and more on the 5 observables to see if it's genuinely anomalous. But sometimes anomalous craft are not displaying the 5 observables at the time of the sighting. And they still seem to be genuinely anomalous craft or beings or events. So it does get more frustrating. So let me know what you think about this very interesting new drone. Let me know what you think about it all in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Find me on Facebook or Twitter. Links below. All that kind of good stuff. Become a channel member. Support the channel. Buy a t-shirt. And I'll see you next time. I can't even get through this one. Okay. All right. See you next time, guys. This is Jack with Cosmic Road signing out.